Hey everybody, welcome back to our love language. Today's topic is going to be about pride. I heard J. Cole's album, the song Pride is the Devil. For some reason, every time I listen to music or see movies that have to do with relationships or marriage or whatever it is, somehow I always get to thinking about how would that affect me in my marriage? How would I handle this situation? Or, how would me and my wife together get through these things? What did you think when you first listened to that song? And like, did it affect you in any kind of way? Did you think, what did you really think about how he went about putting that song?
I loved it.
Yeah?
Yes, it's one of my favorites. And I think it's just so true. And a lot of people don't realize how much pride can affect the way your relationship goes. I think when we first started dating, we kind of had, both of us each had our own struggle with that. So I just loved it. I feel like he had every truth in that song.
Yeah, I think so. I went and picked out a lyric from it, and I'm gonna read that off right now because this is what really got me thinking about how it affects families, how pride can really come in between two people. So one of his lyrics he puts in there, "Pride be the reason for the family dichotomy. Got uncles and some aunties that too proud to give apologies." And I think that when you're growing up and you see people in your family or just relationships around you, obviously that puts something in you that kind of makes you realize that things should or shouldn't be a certain way. And growing up, you don't really know one way from the other. You're just seeing what you're seeing. So when he says, got some aunties and some uncles that too proud to say apologies, when I think about me and you in those situations now, it kind of makes me feel, it makes me feel like we've come a long way. Because like you said, at the beginning, it was like, I'm not going to let you get over on me for this or that or whatever.
Right. Or I'm not going to be the first one to apologize.
Right.
Or he's the one that started this,
Right.
So let me just hold a grudge or...
Right. And that's kind of a thing that a lot of people, I think, don't fully understand or comprehend, that it's okay to say you're sorry. It's okay to apologize, especially to your partner, the person that should have your back through any and everything, and really should be the one that understands you the most. So when you're out of line about something, or you come at me wrong, or I come at you wrong, like, it should be nothing to go back and say, hey, I'm sorry, I was wrong about that, or
I misunderstood. Because sometimes
right.
you may not feel wrong about how you felt about the situation, or you still stand in what you said, but maybe
right.
like it's how you said it. But it does putting your pride aside and being like, understanding that other person first, and then being able to say, okay, look, it may have come off like this, but I meant it like this, instead of being like, I said what I said, it doesn't matter how you took it, that's what I meant, and not giving the other person a chance to see your true point of it or understanding their point of it, and then kind of meeting in the middle. But like you said, growing up too, I think parents don't realize that and I think we're pretty careful about it. And I think that's something that came really natural to us from the beginning, as far as like letting our kids see us go back and forth like that. Because if we did that in front of them, then we wouldn't even realize that we're teaching them to have this certain pride. So like they're watching that
right.
growing up, and that's almost kind of, as us, for us as kids, watching like our parents, or maybe not even in their marriage, but watching our parents just handle other people, kind of set you, oh, well, I remember seeing mom or, dad handling this with, whoever, and then it's like, well, they didn't let them do one over on them.
Right.
So then it kind of, as a child, like you're watching that. But I think that for us, it's important, especially in our relationship, to show our kids, or not to show our kids, that side of.
Yeah, don't let pride get the best of you.
Right.
Yeah, because there are times for us, like in our relationship, where I may feel like I'm right all the way through, but I think that a lot of people, even though when on the opposite side of that, when you realize like, man, I was wrong about that, I think a lot of people still let the pride get the best of them and hold on to that. Like,
I already said what I know.
Yeah, I already said what I said.
Yeah.
I can't go back on it. Yeah, and I think that shouldn't be. That shouldn't be the standard. I think a lot of the times, especially when you're raising kids, you should even let them know it's okay to apologize. And even going into being an adult and being a parent with kids, like, you shouldn't be a prideful parent also.
Right.
So if you get onto them about something and then you find out you were wrong, or you even if you were right about getting onto them, but you may have gone overboard and yelling at them, or even grounding them for too long, or whatever the circumstance is, like, you can still go in there and let them know, like, hey, let your kids know, I was sorry. I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't have overreacted. I should have heard you all the way out, or whatever, because these kids are going to grow up to be adults also. So at some point, they're going to have to learn those things. And I think if you start teaching them a lot earlier that, my parents weren't too big or too prideful to come
to a child.
Right.
And so that's something that I had to work on, and I feel like you helped me with that, because, it's always like, I'm the parent, it's what I say, and that's easier when they're smaller, because, they really don't have much of, well, I guess except for Anaya, but they don't have too much of an opinion. But as they get older, they start seeing things a little different. They see it from a different perspective.
Right.
They're going through things that they're going through. So as the kids got older, I had to realize, okay, they're teenagers now. They're becoming young adults. So I can't just always be like the strickler, and it has to be my way because I'm mom. So, I think that's something that I had to work on. But it works better now, because then it also opens that communication with them, where they feel, or they learn how to come back to me respectfully and say, well, this is what I was trying to get at.
Right.
And
well, not only that, but once you start teaching them, like, it'll help them learn how to apologize. And it doesn't even have to be a full apology. It could be more of a communication thing. Hey, I think you misunderstood me on this or that, even with their own peers, because that too, you've got kids that are in school and they go through meeting so many new people at one time, that and so many different personalities that come from so many different backgrounds. So them learning how to navigate with all these different people, I think that's a strong trait that a lot of people don't fully comprehend or understand. I mean, I didn't until I was an adult, but a lot of that I think also is like when you're, well, I know for us, you're right, but coming from, like our age, a lot of the time it was like, respect your elders and that's it.
right.
Like, we don't really need to hear your opinion. Right. Yeah. We don't need to hear your opinion. What I said is what I said, and that's it. And I'm not saying that they were wrong or right in the way that they did that. I just think that there comes a different level of understanding when you can show your kids that, they're to be respected also. So nobody should be talking to them crazy, but at the same time, even if they do, come at it with a level of respect and understanding, so that you learn how to communicate with people and get your point across effectively, and don't seem like the person who is willing to put pride in front of everything.
Yeah.
So, do you have like any examples of me and you like going through it, and you or me putting like something that you remember of us putting our pride first instead of and then we'll go the opposite too and say like a time where we were able to let our pride down and
move forward.
How it was better, yeah.
I mean, for me, at the beginning of our relationship, but again, I think it was just about just being immature. I guess, and not knowing or not learning. I think. Well, yeah, I was like, the pride was, okay, if, say we had an argument, it could be something as stupid as what to eat, and, it was like, okay, well, what do you want to eat? No, what do you want to eat? Well, I always pick. You always pick. So then, we get pissed off or whatever. We finally decide something, but now, so if I have to pick it, so then it was like, man, he always gets his way. Like, he always... And then there I am, in a mood and not wanting to talk, instead of just letting it go. But because my pride was crushed because you won, then it led this big old unnecessary fight and me giving the silent treatment or whatever. So I think that happened a lot when we first started.
I think that's a good point too. So like when you say you won, we kind of had a conversation about this not that long ago. So in arguments, there's a lot of times where you feel like there needs to be a winner, and I don't think that's necessarily true, right? So a lot of the time these things are more like misunderstandings that we go through. We don't have like full-blown heated arguments.
But at the beginning we would.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I'm saying. But that's where I felt where I hadn't learned to put my pride aside.
Right.
So
right.
because of the pride alone, it turned into full-blown.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, though. So that's where the arguments come from, though. It's almost like it stemmed from pride instead of
what we were even actually in disagreement, trying to figure out, because it wasn't even a disagreement. We were just trying to figure out where to eat.
Yeah. And so that's what I mean, though. So like any misunderstanding, instead of getting it worked out at the beginning, pride jumps in and both of you are looking at each other like, no, I'm right, and that kind of turns into the argument. Yeah. And really over nothing. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm saying. Like when you have a full-blown argument over something, instead of just slowing down and understanding like, what are we really fighting about? And then putting the pride aside and talking through it, you turn it into this big argument, and then really nobody wins. Yeah. Because
and you ain't even hungry no more. That's how I would be.
Yeah.
I just picked the place, but I didn't want it now. It's nasty.
Yeah, exactly. So nobody wins. Yeah. Nobody wins. You're sitting there pissed off. I'm sitting there pissed off. We got nowhere. Yeah. No matter where we pick to eat.
Yeah. Pride is the devil.
So when you really think about that kind of stuff, and going back to the lyric, and it says, you got your auntie and your uncle too proud to say apologies, right? So again, you're a kid, you're looking at your aunt and your uncle, or even as an adult, I guess, but you go to a family get together and you can see that they're obviously pissed off at each other.
I give my example of in our relationship where pride came in on my part. Yeah. So where did your pride come in? I'm trying to change the subject all quick.
No, I wasn't trying to change the subject. I was just trying to... Okay, so... Like you said, early on, there were a lot of more heated, I guess, arguments. And so, I guess, man, I don't really have a full-blown example. I was prideful about everything. I was hard-headed.
Well, okay, so like what do you remember in our relationship was a trigger for your pride? So like, you know what I mean? Like certain things made you feel like, oh, like you're not, like I'm not about to give in to her. Like I'm not about to do that.
Everything. I wasn't about to give in to anything. I felt I was a lot more hard-headed when we first, like,
you were.
I wasn't so much like angry all the time. It was just that when those kind of things happen, it made me feel like, nah, I gotta be right. And I don't feel like I went all the way.
I mean, he wasn't an asshole. Because I would have
Nah.
But because you're making it sound, and the reason I say is because you're making it sound like I could never get my way. Like you were just so
Okay.
full of pride that it was always your way or no way. It wasn't ever like that. But that's what I'm saying. What
Right.
specific?
Okay. Well, so what I mean by that, right? So no, I wasn't like starting fights or like I needed there to be an argument. What I mean by that is like there was almost no communication as far as when our
yeah.
fights went.
Yeah.
I would just completely shut
yeah.
down and like not have like fine then we'll have it your way and then we don't have to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that was your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a silent treatment king. Or he used to be. Ooh, but then that was my pride because I was like, oh no, you're not about to ignore me.
Yeah.
You know, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I think that, you know, I don't, like, as far as our relationship goes, especially, like, I'm not an aggressive type person. So, like, I don't go on the attack. I don't say crazy things. I'm not going to go in on you like that. But, yeah, my pride, I'm like, okay, well, if that's how you want it to be, then have it your way, and I'll stay completely out of it. But I think that since, you know, as we've gone on in our relationship and started learning how to talk to each other and better communication, it was like we can talk these things through. Not only that, but I can apologize when I was wrong. Because really, I would give you the silent treatment whether I was wrong or you were wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I always made sure that I wasn't going to say anything crazy to you, but I also, it was more so, well, leave me alone completely then.
Yeah. And then it was never a full. Then we never like had closure in the disagreement. It was just
Yeah, there
like,
wasn't a full understanding.
Yeah, it was just like some time or a day passed by or whatever, and then we were like, okay, it was like just swept under the rug.
Exactly.
Even if it was something small. But with that though, then I'm such an emotional person. So with that, like that still stayed here and here, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So then that pride again just kind of
almost
still
like anything that came up again, it was like
lingering.
we're right back at it.
Yeah.
So it really was. It was really more so if you're not gonna understand where I'm coming from, then this whole thing means nothing to me then.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be like that. Like, so once we've moved forward and our communication and understanding got better, it was, at this point it's like, if we have a disagreement, I mean, usually within 30 minutes we've talked it out and understand where the other one is coming from.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, I don't think, it's not going to be like that for everybody.
Yeah.
But at some point there should be some type of
communication process.
Right, to let the other one know that, hey, I'm not mad anymore, but this is why. But you've really, both people have got to give that opportunity to stay quiet and let the other one fully explain what their point of view is.
Yeah.
And then the other person needs to stay quiet and let one person give their full point of view.
Like I tell my mom, listen to understand, don't listen to respond.
To respond, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's important. I think that's really important, because if you're listening just to respond, you're really just waiting for the other person to stop talking.
You're thinking about what you're going to say.
Yeah, you're just waiting for them to stop
you're
talking.
to tell them why they don't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's how I came a long way. Instead of just shutting down completely, I'll give myself, 15, 20 minutes to calm completely down, and then we can start the conversation.
That was another pride thing for me. Like, so you would tell me, like, you'd do your silent treatment, and then it got to a point you were like, so then it was silent treatment, then I would tell you, then I'd pick at you and pick at you and pick at you and pick at you. So then you got to a point where you're like, look, just give me some time. And then it took time for me to allow you to have that time, because I felt like, no, I want to talk about it now. It's happening now. We need to say it now. Whatever you got to say it. And after you explained it to me, which was you didn't want to say anything while you were heated because then it's only gonna be hurtful or make it worse.
Right.
So you asked me, let me have my 15-20 minutes, get your thoughts together. So I had to learn to put my pride aside and say, okay, like I know this is how he processes our disagreements or our arguments or whatever. So if I give him that, then I can get something out of him that's going to be beneficial and not just angry words.
Yeah.
So that was another thing as far as pride where I had to learn, like, okay, Don, I can't be right now because you want it to be right now.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to make it better. So I think that helps.
Yeah, I think it does too. So getting back to what I was saying about the whole aunt and uncle thing, right? Like as a kid or even as an adult, you go to a family get together and you see, I guess, any couple, right? And they're going at it or they're arguing and stuff. A lot of the time, I think what you're seeing is that pride, because they would rather go to that family function pissed off at each other or still in the middle of their argument than have talked about it and let it go already.
Before getting there.
Well,
or you're just saying
no,
at the moment.
No, I just mean like all around, like at the moment before getting there. And I'm not saying that people are not going to be upset with each other, but for it to be, like I said, it's in his lyric, right? But everybody can
sense it.
No, everybody can relate to that.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's a simple statement that everybody knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
When he said your auntie and your uncle, that pride will make it so that you're watching your aunt and your uncle be too proud to say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Everybody can relate to that, right? And that's not a line that's like, well, what does he mean?
Yeah, or only applies to certain people.
Yeah, or certain situations. Everybody knows that situation, or has been the person in that situation where people are like, y'all okay? Everything good or whatever? But I'm sure that, there are also people who have that aunt and uncle who are always fighting with each other that don't, they're never okay at a family function. So people are just like, that's just them,
Yeah.
But I think that kind of pride and also probably a high level of stubbornness is exactly the kind of stuff that you should let go in a relationship, because if you really love that person, you're going to be there with them. Why hold that against them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why keep that
keep it going, keep that energy going for, like I said, for us, just
because then just as an individual you're just miserable.
Yeah.
When you could individually,
unless you're that one that like probably makes you just feel so good. You know what I mean? Because there's people like that too.
There is, but that's what I mean. So, okay, so to the next point, like I think that for me and you, my pride at this point is so in the back of my mind that instead of hurting my pride or me being wrong about whatever me and you got going on, I would rather you feel good at the end of the day than my pride be satisfied.
Than to say you won.
To say I won. Yeah. So I would rather put that in the back of my mind and fully know that, okay, maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong. It doesn't really matter to me. I would rather you be happy at the end of the day.
But also, and we've talked about this too, but also, still explain and express what you felt about whatever the situation is. No, for sure,
but I'm just saying letting it go, though.
Well, yeah, because I'm just saying I just don't want people to think, like, let it, like, just eat everything, like, eat it.
No, definitely not.
That's not either, because that's not healthy either, because then that can cause resentment towards your person if you're just constantly eating it and eating it and eating it.
No, so, there are certain things that if I know I have to be right about this, whatever my reasoning might be.
Well, let's not say be right. Let's say stand my
ground
on
right.
it.
Okay.
Because It's just what you feel, and that's what you strongly feel. And but communicating that, and I may not understand fully. Like, I may not agree or fully understand, but if you break it down after you've had your time, so now you're not coming at me angry,
Right.
which is your process, and that works for us. So then when you come to me, then either I'm going to say, oh, okay, like, I can understand that, or, you know what, I don't understand that, but if that's the way you feel, then I respect it, and this is what I'll try to do in the future
Right.
to avoid,
More
whatever,
conflict
more
over that
conflict, same
certain thing,
issue,
yeah.
right? So, again, I think saying if I know I'm right.
Right, but I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that even if I feel like I'm right, we've had our conversation, we've had our whatever, our argument, and I still feel like I'm right about it, I'm still willing to let it go if it means that me and you can get back to normal. Yeah, we can get back to normal because it's just not worth the argument. It's not worth the fight all the way through.
And you've also expressed how you felt about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna
and
still
move
voice
on.
what I gotta say.
Because then it can come to a point to where you can agree to disagree. Because we've done that too.
Yeah, we've done that. Yeah.
And not still just be trying to throw things out there or be mad. So, yeah.
So I think that we've pretty much covered this whole deal for Pride is the Devil. I hope you guys learned something from this. I hope you got something from it. If y'all have anything that a certain way that y'all express yourself, or how you've learned to deal with these kind of things, or stories about how you and your husband or wife have overcome this, hopefully, go ahead and comment. Let us know these kinds of things. I mean, we want to hear y'all stories. We're trying to learn also. Me and my wife, we've been married for going on 7 years now, and we still got a lot to learn. We've learned a lot over the years, but there's still a lot.
We learn every day.
Right. And there's still a lot that we've got to grow on. So, hopefully this helps somebody, and we'll see y'all on the next one. We appreciate y'all watching. Have a good one.
Bye.